You've got this tens of thousands of emails, WhatsApps going to and from Lord Mandelson to people at the top of government, and that is going to rip this government apart. So it's really bad right now, and yes, he is fighting for survival, but I think it's worse to come.
The Prime Minister faces his MPs later on today. What might he tell them? Is there anything he can really say that will keep him in power, or powerful at least, for the next few months? The Times political editor Stephen Swinford is here. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
We know that Keir Starmer is going to speak to the PLP, the Parliamentary Labour Party. Do we know what he's going to say, what his argument will be to them this afternoon?
It's going to be very similar to an argument that he made to MPs at Chequers last week, where he will castigate Lord Mandelson and say he was disgusted by the files and what was discovered. He will admit to mistakes in appointing Lord Mandelson, and we think there is also going to be some kind of reference to an ethics clean-up that he wants to do of Parliament more broadly. But the problem with that, from what we're hearing this morning, is that this clean-up isn't ready. And essentially they're going to do what Keir Starmer does in all these situations, and what lots of politicians do when it's hard. They're going to announce a rapid review into cleaning up Parliament. My slight concern is it may not be enough to save him. And look, Kate, I was talking to cabinet ministers last night to try to get a feeling for where it is, and I can tell you that they are as worried as everyone else out there. For all these listeners may think a lot of this stuff is speculative, but everyone is doing it. Everyone is worried about him. What they were saying is they worry he could be gone by the end of the week. They think he's got a really critical 48 hours here where he has to set out his stall, and they think it's all in the balance. And universally, even people that really dislike Morgan McSweeney, they all acknowledge that the Prime Minister is going to be weaker without him. That's his Chief of Staff, who's obviously he has had to sack.
And that's the point. And I suppose, taking what you've just said there, that there are now, and Steve, that is so stark. There are cabinet ministers that you are speaking to think that Starmer could be out by the end of the week. He's got a number of big obstacles to get through before he can even make it to next Sunday. He's got this PLP meeting, which is probably not going to go that well. He's got Prime Minister's questions, and we know that he's also going to be making a speech to the public at some point. And you've just told us it's probably not going to be the hefty, big, sweeping changes that people might want to see. I mean, he's got some real challenges.
He's got some real challenges, and I guess what I want to emphasise this morning is last week was really bad, the weekend was terrible, but it's going to get much worse. That these Mandelson files that we're going to start seeing probably quite soon. So at the moment there is a key file the Cabinet Office gave to Keir Starmer before he appointed Lord Mandelson as the US Ambassador. It is a due diligence report. It's his 2-pager. We are waiting for that, and Scotland Yard is telling the government you can release that once we've interviewed Mandelson under caution, which is expected to be quite soon. And when that comes out, I think that's going to be really explosive, because that will say in black and white what Keir Starmer knew at the time of that appointment, and it will put his poor judgment, his catastrophic judgment in this case, up in lights. So that is one really big problem. And then much more broadly, you've got this tens of thousands of emails, WhatsApps going to and from Lord Mandelson to people at the top of government, and that is going to rip this government apart. So it's really bad right now, and yes, he is fighting for survival, but I think it's worse to come. And the point people are making to me, and some Morgan McSweeney allies are particularly making this morning, is he has now got an apolitical number 10. That without Morgan McSweeney, you have removed effectively the one person who knew broadly how to navigate politics. Yes, he made mistakes. Yes, he got things wrong. But everyone in there now, including the kind of 2 Chiefs of Staff, the new Joint Chiefs of Staff who are in an acting role, they are not there for the kind of knife edge of politics, for the kind of survival stuff. And the point people make is, next time something goes wrong, there will be no one to bail him out, that he's on his own effectively.
Can I ask you the counter to that, Steve, which is a lot of our listeners this morning are saying, we're fed up with this politics, this infighting, this who's up, who's down, the pure politics of it, which, as you say, Morgan McSweeney was very, very good at. He got this party back into government. He did it in a very short time scale. He did things that many people think would not have been possible. He's very good at the politics. Removing him, as you say, having an apolitical number 10, if you accept, as Keir Starmer must surely do, that Labour may only be a one-term government, might that actually be a good thing, in that you would stop focusing on the politics and maybe focus on the policy? Is that possible?
I don't think it's possible, and the main reason for that is when you stand back from all of this, why are we in this situation? Obviously the PM made some bad decisions, but Labour's collapse in the polls has been absolutely extraordinary, and historic. There's never been anything like it. We have an unpopular Prime Minister who is the most unpopular Prime Minister on record, and people rightly in the Labour Party are looking at that and they are worrying that it is existential. It is existential for their seats, it is existential for the people that work for them. They are beginning to look at the iceberg that is looming in the distance, and when that happens, the politics comes into play. People start moving, they start making alternatives, they start trying to think about, would a change of leadership help? There's still time, is the argument. And I'll give you one example of one of the things that McSweeney did very successfully recently. Was Andy Burnham. So Andy Burnham was looking to make a comeback through a by-election, and McSweeney used the power that he'd got on the NEC for Starmer, all the votes there, to block him. And that was the kind of dark arts that McSweeney kind of specialised in and was key in cementing Starmer's grip on the party in the first place. And as a result, it means that Andy Burnham will not be around if Starmer goes. He's not going to be in the contest. So that is what he is losing. He is losing some political know-how at a time when the politics is coming at you very hard and very fast, whether you like it or not. You cannot afford to be apolitical when you are fighting for political survival.
And you raised the prospect of a potential leadership challenge there, Steve. Just finally, I mean, obviously Andy Burnham, as you say, was successfully blocked by Keir Starmer and his team, Morgan McSweeney. What of the others, though? Wes Streeting, for example, quite close to Peter Mandelson. Angela Rayner has got problems with HMRC. Ed Miliband's been tried before, didn't necessarily go that well. What about the others? There's Big Ben chiming in, literally.
At the weekend, Kate, one of the extraordinary things about this collapse in the Prime Minister's authority, and sorry for the noise, was that the infighting began. The race to succeed him went in earnest. The briefings were really strong, really aggressive. We had a story on Saturday from Anna Mikhailova of Times Radio that Angela Rayner had warned against appointing Mandelson in the first place. We had Rayner outriders going for Streeting, saying he would be compromised by the Mandelson files because of his close relationship with Lord Mandelson. We had Streeting allies categorically denying that and hitting back at Rayner. So essentially the fight is happening now. The starting gun is going. And I think one of the ministers on the broadcast rounds today was essentially telling everyone to stop, focus on their day jobs. Don't stop kind of preparing for what's to come. But people have to prepare for what's to come, and it'd be naive not to, because if it happens and they're not ready, then that's a big problem. And I think people will be ready if Keir Starmer goes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question of what happens this week, Steve. We will come back to you for all the latest throughout the week. Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
That is the political editor of The Times, Steve Swinford, there. And you can hear live from Westminster with Big Ben in the background.
And it was at 9:45, so it was only a little bit. If that had been like the full
Big Ben bongs,
we could have been in serious trouble.